Have you ever wondered what it's like to live like a trillionaire? Well, buckle up, because we're about to take a wild ride through the extravagant world of Prince Mateen of Brunei. This guy is the ultimate symbol of luxury, with a life that's jam-packed with yachts, private jets, and exotic pets. And of course, he's got a massive following of 2.4 million on Instagram, where he shows off his crazy, rich lifestyle. In this video, we'll take you on a journey through Prince Mateen's over-the-top possessions and how he spends his gigantic fortune, from his fleet of supercars and impressive watch collection to his lavish properties and high-flying adventures. We'll uncover all the juicy details of what it's really like to live like a trillionaire. Prince Mateen's yachts. When it comes to Prince Mateen's yachts, they're in a class of their own. I mean, just take a look at his crown jewel, the Tits, a custom-built 180-foot super yacht that's the epitome of floating luxury. This baby has it all. 6 lavish cabins, a cinema, a gym, a jacuzzi, and even a helipad. Because why not, right? But the Tits isn't his only yacht. Oh no, Prince Mateen's got a whole fleet of them. There's the Dominator, a sleek 150-footer that's perfect for those more intimate gatherings with his closest billionaire buddies. And let's not forget about the Sovereign, a massive 270-foot beast that's basically a floating palace. These yachts aren't just for show though, they're the ultimate party pads, and Prince Mateen knows how to throw a bash. Rumor has it that he once hosted a week-long celebration on the Tits for his 30th birthday, flying in A-list celebrities and royalty from all over the world. The champagne was flowing, the music was pumping, and the views were breathtaking. But what really sets Prince Mateen's yachts apart are the personal touches, like the custom-made Italian leather sofas on the Dominator or the one-of-a-kind art collection on the Sovereign. And let's not forget about the crew. Each yacht has a team of highly trained staff ready to cater to every whim and fancy. Of course, owning a fleet of super yachts like this doesn't come cheap, but when you're a trillionaire like Prince Mateen, money is no object. In fact, he's been known to drop millions on upgrades and renovations to keep his yachts in tip-top shape. It's hard to imagine what it must be like to live this kind of lifestyle, isn't it? To have the freedom to sail wherever you want, whenever you want, surrounded by the finest things in life. But for Prince Mateen, it's just another day in the life of a trillionaire. And speaking of the high life, you won't believe the kind of private jets this guy has in his collection. I'm talking about planes that make first class look like economy. Private jets. You thought Prince Mateen's yachts were impressive? Wait until you hear about his private jets. This guy doesn't just own 1 or 2, he's got a whole fleet of them. And we're not talking about your average luxury planes here. No, no, no. Prince Mateen's jets are on a whole other level. First up, there's his trusty Gulfstream G650. This beauty can fly non-stop from LA to Tokyo, and it's got all the bells and whistles you'd expect from a trillionaire's ride. Think plush leather seats, a full-sized bed, and a gourmet kitchen staffed by a top-notch chef. But that's just the beginning. Prince Mateen also owns a Boeing 747, which he's completely gutted and turned into a flying palace. I'm talking gold-plated sinks, a grand piano, and even a bowling alley. Yes, you read that right. A freaking bowling alley on a plane. Can you imagine rolling strikes at 35,000 feet? But his most impressive jet has to be the Airbus A380. This double-decker behemoth is the largest passenger plane in the world, and Prince Mateen's is decked out like you wouldn't believe. He's got a full-size swimming pool, a garage for his supercars, and a stable for his prized polo ponies. Because why not bring your horses with you when you're jetting around the globe? Of course, owning jets like these isn't just about the flashy features, it's about the freedom to go wherever you want, whenever you want, and Prince Mateen takes full advantage of that. One day he might be in Paris for Fashion Week, the next he's in Dubai for a business meeting, and then he's off to the Maldives for some R&R. But here's the crazy thing, as insane as Prince Mateen's jets are, they're just a small part of his overall collection. I mean, we haven't even talked about his fleet of helicopters yet, or his vintage warplane that he takes for joyrides on the weekends. It's hard to wrap your head around the level of luxury this guy lives with. But I guess that's just par for the course when you're a trillionaire. The sky's the limit, literally. And speaking of luxury, you won't believe the kind of mansions Prince Mateen calls home. We're talking sprawling estates that make the White House look like a shack. But before we dive into that, let me ask you this. What do you think the most expensive home in the world looks like? Watch it on our channel right now. Properties of Prince Mateen. You know what they say, a man's home is his castle, but for Prince Mateen, that's not just a cute little saying, it's a way of life. This guy owns some of the most insane mansions you've ever seen, and they make even the fanciest celebrity cribs look like rundown shacks. Let's start with his main residence in Brunei. It's called Istana Nurul Izzah, and it's right next to his dad's palace, which is already one of the biggest in the world. But Prince Mateen's place is no slouch either. It's got 50 bedrooms, 70 bathrooms, and a banquet hall that can fit 2,000 people. And the decor, think gold, marble, and more gold. It's like walking into a real-life version of the Palace of Versailles. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Prince Mateen also has a massive compound in the English countryside, complete with its own private golf course and helipad. And let's not forget about his ski chalet in the Swiss Alps, his beachfront villa in the Maldives, or his penthouse in New York City. Each one is more extravagant than the last. Of course, it's not just about the size of these places, it's the little details that really make them stand out, like the solid gold toilet seats in the Brunei mansion, or the Picasso paintings hanging in the New York penthouse, or the indoor rainforest in the Swiss chalet, complete with live tropical birds. But here's the thing, as crazy as these mansions are, they're just a drop in the bucket when it comes to Prince Mateen's overall real estate portfolio. The guy owns entire islands, for crying out loud, and he's always on the hunt for the next big thing. Rumor has it he's got his eye on a castle in Scotland that comes with its own loch and a herd of Highland cattle. It's hard to even wrap your head around that kind of wealth, isn't it? I mean, most of us would be thrilled to own just one nice house. But for Prince Mateen, the sky's the limit. He can buy pretty much any property he wants, anywhere in the world, and he does. But here's what I want to know. With all these insane mansions to choose from, where does Prince Mateen actually spend most of his time? Does he have a favorite spot, or does he just bounce around from one palace to the next? And more importantly, what does a guy like that even do with all that space? I mean, you can only play so much polo and host so many fancy parties before it starts to get old, right? Well, as it turns out, Prince Mateen's real estate empire is just the beginning. Wait until you hear about how he spreads his fortune around, spending the billions. It's hard to even imagine spending billions of dollars every year, but for Prince Mateen, it's just another day in the life. Of course, when you're a trillionaire, you've got to find ways to spread that wealth around, and boy does this guy know how to do that. Let's start with his investments. Prince Mateen's got his fingers in all kinds of pies, from tech startups to real estate to hedge funds. He's not afraid to take risks either. One year, he dropped a cool billion on a new cryptocurrency that nobody had ever heard of. It could have been a total bust, but as luck would have it, the coin blew up, and he ended up tripling his money. But investing is just a small part of the picture. The real fun starts when you look at Prince Mateen's personal expenses. This guy drops millions like it's pocket change. A few years back, he decided he wanted to throw the most epic birthday party the world had ever seen. So he rented out an entire island in the Caribbean, flew in his favorite musicians and celebrities, and treated his guests to a week of pure, unadulterated luxury. The price tag, a staggering $50 million. And then there was the time he decided to add a new supercar to his collection. But he didn't just walk into a dealership and pick something off the lot. No, Prince Mateen commissioned a one-of-a-kind Bugatti that was covered in diamonds and had his initials stitched into the leather seats. The cost? A mind-boggling $20 million. But it's not all just frivolous spending with this guy. Prince Mateen is also known for his generous philanthropic efforts. Every year, he donates hundreds of millions of dollars to various charities and causes around the world. He's helped build schools in impoverished countries, funded medical research, and even set up his own foundation to support environmental conservation efforts. Still, it's hard to ignore the sheer scale of Prince Mateen's wealth. The guy spends more in a year than most people will earn in a lifetime, and he does it all without batting an eye. It's easy to get caught up in the glitz and glamour of his lifestyle, but at the end of the day, you have to wonder, what's it really like to live like that? Is it as amazing as it seems, or does it get old after a while? Does Prince Mateen ever wish for a simpler life, or is he content to keep on spending those billions year after year? One thing's for sure, his lifestyle is definitely one of a kind. I mean, sure, there are plenty of other billionaires out there, but none of them quite compare to the opulence and extravagance of Prince Mateen, the lifestyle of a trillionaire. Beyond ordinary, the lifestyle of a trillionaire. Sure, there are plenty of billionaires out there living the high life, but Prince Mateen, He's on a whole other level. This guy doesn't just live large, he lives larger than large. And when you compare his lifestyle to other wealthy folks, it's clear that he's in a league of his own. Take his leisure activities, for example. While some billionaires might be content with a round of golf or a fancy dinner party, Prince Mateen takes things to the extreme. He's been known to fly his entire entourage to the Swiss Alps for a weekend of heli-skiing or rent out an entire island for a week-long beach bash. And when he feels like letting loose, he'll host parties that make Vegas look tame. But it's not just about the big, flashy events. Prince Mateen also has a taste for the finer things in life. He's a regular at the world's most exclusive restaurants, where he'll drop tens of thousands on a single meal. He's got a collection of rare wines that would make any connoisseur jealous, and when it comes to fashion, he's always decked out in the latest designer threads. Of course, when you're as wealthy as Prince Mateen, you can afford to indulge in some pretty wild hobbies. Take his love of exotic animals, for instance. He's got a whole menagerie of rare creatures, from white tigers to pygmy marmosets, and he spares no expense when it comes to their care. He once flew in a team of top veterinarians from around the world to treat one of his sick cheetahs. But perhaps the most impressive thing about Prince Mateen's lifestyle is the sheer scale of it all. Everything he does is bigger, better, and more over the top than you can imagine. His parties are attended by thousands of people. His vacations span multiple continents, and his purchases are the stuff of legend. It's almost hard to believe that one person could live like this, but for Prince Mateen, it's just another day in the life. He's not content with just being wealthy. He wants to be the wealthiest of the wealthy, and from the looks of it, he's well on his way to achieving that goal. So, what does a guy like Prince Mateen do when he's not living it up? Well, you might be surprised to learn that he's actually quite the collector. And I'm not talking about stamps or coins here. No, Prince Mateen's collections are a bit more extravagant. Take his car collection, for example. This guy doesn't just have a few nice rides. He's got a whole fleet of the most exclusive high-performance vehicles money can buy. But what exactly does he have in his garage? Let's just say that if you're a car enthusiast, you might want to sit down for this one. From ultra-rare vintage classics to the latest and greatest supercars, Prince Mateen's collection is truly a sight to behold. And the best part? He actually drives these things. You won't find them just collecting dust in some museum. Oh no, Prince Mateen likes to put his pedal to the metal and feel the rush of all those horses under the hood. But with so many amazing cars to choose from, which ones are his favorites? And how does he decide what to add to his ever-growing collection? Prince Mateen's car collection. When it comes to cars, Prince Mateen doesn't mess around. His collection is the stuff of legends, with some of the most rare and exotic vehicles you can imagine. I'm talking about cars that most people have only seen in magazines or on TV, but for Prince Mateen, they're just another part of his incredible fleet. Take his Bugatti Chiron, for example. This thing is a true marvel of engineering, with an eye-watering price tag to match. It's got a quad-turbocharged W16 engine that puts out a staggering 1,500 horsepower. That's enough to rocket this beast from 0 to 60 in just 2.3 seconds, and with a top speed of over 260 miles per hour, it's no wonder that Mateen had to have one in his collection. But the Chiron is just the tip of the iceberg. Prince Mateen also owns a Ferrari LaFerrari, which is one of the most sought-after hypercars in the world. Only 499 of these babies were ever made, and each one sold for well over $1 million. But for Mateen, that's just pocket change. And let's not forget about his Koenigsegg Agera RS. This Swedish speed demon held the record for the fastest production car in the world, with a top speed of 277.87 miles per hour. It's got a 5.0-liter twin-turbo V8 engine that churns out over 1,300 horsepower. And with a price tag of around $2.5 million, it's clear that Prince Mateen isn't afraid to spend big when it comes to his cars. But it's not all about speed and power for this car-loving royal. He's also got a soft spot for classic rides, like his 1963 Ferrari 250 GTO. This is one of the rarest and most valuable cars in the world, with only 36 ever made. In fact, one of these beauties sold at auction for a mind-boggling $70 million. And Prince Mateen is lucky enough to have one in his collection. Of course, with all these amazing cars at his disposal, you might be wondering how Prince Mateen decides which one to take out for a spin. Well, as it turns out, he's got a huge team of mechanics and detailers who keep his fleet in tip-top shape, and he's been known to fly them around the world with him just to make sure his cars are always ready to go. It's clear that Prince Mateen's car collection is more than just a hobby, it's a passion. He loves the thrill of driving these incredible machines, and he's always on the lookout for the next great addition to his fleet. In fact, rumor has it that he's got his eye on the new Aston Martin Valkyrie, which is set to be one of the most extreme hypercars ever made. But you know what? As impressive as Prince Mateen's car collection is, it's really just scratching the surface of his many automotive-related pursuits. This guy doesn't just collect cars, he lives and breathes them. He's been spotted at all the top races around the world, from the Monaco Grand Prix to the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and he's even tried his hand at racing himself, competing in high-stakes events like the Gumball 3000 Rally. Watch collection. When it comes to watches, Prince Mateen is a true aficionado. His collection is the stuff of legends, featuring some of the most sought-after timepieces in the world, and just like with his cars, he's not content to simply let them sit in a display case. No, this guy actually wears his watches, and he's got a keen eye for pairing the right one with the right outfit and occasion. Take his Patek Philippe Nautilus, for example. This is a watch that's synonymous with luxury and exclusivity. It's got a sleek, stylish design that's instantly recognizable, and it's made with only the finest materials. The Nautilus is a favorite among the wealthy elite, and Prince Mateen is no exception. He's been spotted wearing his at everything from black tie galas to casual yacht parties. But the Nautilus is just one of many high-end watches in Prince Mateen's collection. He's also got a soft spot for Rolexes, like his GMT Master 2. This is a watch that's designed for world travelers, with a unique bezel that allows you to keep track of multiple time zones at once, and with its rugged construction and reliable movement, it's the perfect choice for a guy who's always on the go. Of course, no watch collection would be complete without a few vintage pieces, and Prince Mateen has some real beauties, like his 1950s Jaeger LeCoultre Memovox. This is a watch that was originally designed as an alarm clock for the wrist, with a special mechanism that would buzz to wake you up. But these days, it's more of a collector's item, prized for its unique design and historical significance. And then there's his A. Lange & Söhne Datograph, a watch that's often referred to as the Holy Grail among collectors. This German masterpiece is known for its intricate movement and stunning craftsmanship. It's the kind of watch that you could stare at for hours, marveling at all the tiny gears and springs that make it tick. So what do all these incredible watches say about Prince Mateen? Well, for one thing, they showcase his appreciation for the finer things in life. These are not cheap, mass-produced timepieces. They're works of art, crafted by some of the most skilled artisans in the world. And the fact that Mateen has so many of them suggests that he's got a real passion for horology. But it's not just about the craftsmanship. Prince Mateen's watch collection also reflects his jet-setting lifestyle. He's a man who's constantly on the move, whether he's traveling for business or pleasure, and he needs a watch that can keep up with him, whether he's crossing time zones or diving deep beneath the waves. Charitable efforts. But here's the thing about Prince Mateen. He's not just about the glitz and glamour. Believe it or not, this guy has a heart of gold when it comes to giving back. And I'm not talking about just writing a check and calling it a day. Oh no, Prince Mateen rolls up his sleeves and gets involved in the causes he cares about. Take his love for animals, for example. Prince Mateen is a huge advocate for animal welfare, and he puts his money where his mouth is. He's donated millions to organizations that protect endangered species and fight against animal cruelty. But he doesn't stop there. He also uses his platform to raise awareness about these issues, and he's even been known to get hands-on with some of the animals he's trying to help. In fact, one of his biggest passions is helping to save the Sumatran orangutan, which is seriously at risk of going extinct. Prince Mateen has worked closely with conservation groups to protect their habitats and raise funds for their care. And get this, he even adopted a baby orangutan named Mateen, who was rescued from the illegal pet trade. How cool is that? But it's not just about the cute and cuddly creatures. Prince Mateen also cares deeply about the environment and the impact that humans are having on the planet. He's a big supporter of renewable energy and sustainable development, and he's even invested in a few eco-friendly startups. One of his most impressive feats was when he helped to launch a massive reforestation project in Borneo. The goal was to plant over 1 million million trees in areas that had been devastated by deforestation. And Prince Mateen didn't just write a check, he actually went out there and planted some of the trees himself. Can you imagine seeing a royal getting down and dirty like that? Of course, Prince Mateen's charitable efforts go way beyond just animals and the environment. He's also a huge supporter of education, especially for underprivileged kids. He's funded scholarships, built schools, and even hosted coding camps to help teach kids valuable tech skills. And when disaster strikes, Prince Mateen is always one of the first to step up and help out. Whether it's a tsunami in Indonesia or a hurricane in the Caribbean, he's there with his checkbook and his dedication to make a difference. He's even been known to hop on his private jet and fly out to affected areas to lend a hand in person. So yeah, Prince Mateen might live a life of luxury that most of us can only dream of, but he also uses his wealth and influence to make a real difference in the world. And that, my friends, is something we can all admire. Still, as impressive as Prince Mateen's philanthropic efforts are, they're really just one part of who he is. Because at the end of the day, he's not just a wealthy philanthropist or a thrill-seeking adventurer. He's also a royal with some pretty big responsibilities on his plate. But how does a guy like Prince Mateen balance the demands of his royal duties with his jet-setting lifestyle and charitable pursuits? And what's it really like to be a part of one of the world's wealthiest and most powerful families? Well, that's a side of Prince Mateen that not many people get to see. But trust me, it's just as fascinating as everything else about him. Royal duties and public life. Royal duties and public life. Now, you might think that being a prince is all about living a life of luxury and leisure, but the truth is, it comes with a lot of responsibilities too. And for Prince Mateen, those responsibilities are a big part of who he is. As a member of the royal family, Prince Mateen has to attend all sorts of important events and ceremonies. We're talking state dinners, diplomatic meetings, and even royal weddings, and let me tell you, he always looks the part. Whether he's in a traditional Bruneian outfit or a sharp suit, this guy knows how to dress for the occasion. But it's not just about looking good. Prince Mateen also has to represent his country on the world stage. That means attending big global events like the United Nations General Assembly or the World Economic Forum. And when he's there, he's not just a spectator. He's often a speaker or a panelist, sharing his thoughts on everything from sustainable development to youth empowerment. Of course, being in the public eye like that comes with a lot of pressure, and for Prince Mateen, finding a balance between his royal duties and his personal life can be a challenge. On one hand, he knows that he has a responsibility to his country and his people, but on the other hand, he's still a young guy who wants to live his life and have some fun. So how does he handle it? Well, for one thing, Prince Mateen is pretty good at keeping his private life private. He's not the type to post every little thing on social media or give tell-all interviews to the press. Instead, he's careful about what he shares and who he shares it with. But that doesn't mean he's a total recluse. In fact, Prince Mateen is known for being pretty approachable and down to earth. He's the kind of guy who will stop and chat with people on the street or pose for a selfie with a fan. And when he's at events or meetings, he's always willing to listen and learn from others. Still, it can't be easy being in the spotlight all the time, and I'm sure there are moments when Prince Mateen just wants to escape from it all and be a normal guy for a while. But at the end of the day, he knows that his royal duties are a big part of who he is, and he takes them seriously. So the next time you see Prince Mateen at some big global event or giving a speech at a conference, remember that there's a lot more to him than just his fancy title and his expensive toys. This is a guy who's trying to make a difference in the world and who takes his responsibilities as a royal very seriously. And hey, who knows? Maybe one day we'll see him take on an even bigger role in Brunei or on the world stage. But for now, Prince Mateen is just focused on being the best prince he can be and living his life to the fullest along the way.